June 28, 2015, Teresa Sievers was attacked in her Bonita Springs, Florida home at 27034 Jarvis Road by two men who bludgeoned her to death with a hammer, striking her a total of 17 times. In December 2015, Teresa's husband, Mark Sievers, hired two men from Missouri, Curtis Wright Jr. and Jimmy Ray Rodgers, to take Teresa's life. Mark was accused of orchestrating the killing, with the motive being life insurance money, as well as the fact that Teresa was supposedly going to take the children away from him and he could not afford to fight for custody. Let's get into it. Teresa Ann Grace Sievers was born on November 19, 1968 at Griffin Hospital in Derby, Connecticut. Her parents, John Tottenham and Mary Graves, separated when she was 1 month old, and she was raised by her mother. Teresa attended Asonian High School, graduating as a valedictorian in 1986. Since sixth grade, she had an interest in medicine and wanted to become a doctor. In 1996, Teresa graduated from the Ross University School of Medicine in Dominica. She later completed a pre-med course at Fairfield University and completed her residency at the University of Florida. Teresa, recently divorced, married Mark Sievers, the brother of one of her friends, in 2003. The couple had two children aged 11 and 8 at the time of Teresa's death. In 2006, the Sievers family moved to Bonita Springs, Florida, built a house, and the couple opened up a holistic medical practice called Restorative Health and Healing Center. Teresa worked as a physician while volunteering and raising her daughters. Mark managed their clinic's office and acted as a primary caretaker for the girls. Months prior to Teresa's murder, Mark went to Curtis's wedding in Hillsboro, Missouri. Mark and Curtis had been friends since childhood. They met in elementary school and graduated high school together. Mark confided in Curtis that he was having marriage problems with Teresa and he feared she was going to take their children away from him, and said he could not afford the attorney fees to fight for custody. Wright told Mark that his only option was for Teresa to die. Mark agreed that he would pay Curtis to help him, so the two men then planned how to kill Teresa. Mark also wanted Teresa killed so he could claim life insurance money. Curtis told the court that Mark promised him $100,000 to murder Teresa. Investigators would later discover there were 5 insurance policies on Teresa totaling $4.43 million. Unbeknownst to Mark, Curtis later enlisted the help of a third man to assist in the killing, Jimmy Ray Rodgers, who Curtis paid to help him. The two had met while in prison. Throughout the planning, only Curtis communicated with Jimmy. Sievers had told Wright he did not want to know the identity of any accomplice that he may hire. Mark and Curtis used prepaid cell phones for their calls about the plot, thinking those phones were safer and more secure than their regular phones. Phone records showed that their prepaid phones became active only after they exchanged a code word on their regular lines. Mark envisioned 2 possible scenarios for the murder. June 28, at the Sievers home, to look like a robbery, or June 29th at Dr. Sievers' medical office to look like a mugging. Sievers knew his wife was set to return home alone from a family vacation on June 28. He had booked her return flight, and he wanted to ensure that he and their daughters would not be in town at the time of the killing. For the home murder plan, Mark tested going over the backyard fence, and he trimmed bushes in the yard to carve out a path to the garage. He also told Curtis how to enter the house and disalarm the security system. For the office murder plan, Sievers sent Curtis aerial photographs of the building, identifying a secluded stairwell that Dr. Sievers used when she left work late at night. He also gave Curtis the stairway access code. Sievers told Curtis that regardless of where the murder took place, it should appear to be a mugging or robbery. On the morning of June 27, 2015, Curtis took a rental car from Hillsboro, Missouri, and went to pick up Jimmy. The two men then drove over 1,000 miles to the Sievers family home in Bonita Springs, Florida, equipped with detailed instructions and money from Mark. A GPS system log, which was later shown as evidence in court, tracked the route that the men took. En route, they stopped at a gas station and were caught on surveillance video. Curtis and Jimmy arrived at the Sievers home approximately 6 a.m. on the morning of June 28. They entered the property and disabled the security alarm before leaving. Then they drove past Dr. Sievers' medical practice to evaluate its potential as a murder location. But they eliminated that option after feeling too exposed on the property. For the remainder of the day, they napped in their rental car, shopped at Walmart where they purchased trash bags, wet wipes, black towels, black shoes, and a lockpicking kit. And they spent time at the beach before they returned to the Sievers home around 10:30 p.m. and waited for Teresa to return. While waiting, they put on coveralls and gloves and pried open the already unlocked side door to mimic a robbery. Meanwhile, Teresa was on her way home from a family gathering in Connecticut where her husband and daughters had remained. Teresa landed at Southwest Florida International Airport that night, having cut short her family vacation in Connecticut. This was the last time that Teresa was seen alive. Mark had driven her to LaGuardia Airport in New York City earlier in the day so she could catch a flight home. She had flown home alone so she could see patients at her clinic the following morning. Thinking Dr. Sievers would arrive at midnight, Curtis was taken aback when he heard the garage door roll up shortly before 11:25 p.m. Curtis scrambled to conceal himself in the garage as he watched Dr. Sievers park the car. Upon arriving home, she pulled into the garage, retrieved her luggage, and walked into the house. Curtis then followed her, picking up a hammer that was lying on the garage freezer on his way inside. As he walked into the kitchen, he stumbled on a dog dish, startling Dr. Sievers, who turned toward Curtis at the noise. He then struck her head once and swung 2 more times while she put up her hands to defend herself. At this point, Jimmy began to attack her too, using a different hammer. He bludgeoned her in the head over and over. Eventually, Dr. Sievers was silent as she fell to the floor, where Jimmy continued to hit her until Curtis made him stop. Certain that Dr. Sievers was dead, Curtis and Jimmy left the house and drove back to Missouri. The next morning, June 29th, Teresa's office contacted Mark to tell him that she did not show up for work. Mark had called a family friend to check on her. His friend found it odd that Mark gave him the garage code and instructed him to just walk in. The friend entered the Sievers home. He found Teresa face down on the kitchen floor in a pool of blood with a hammer next to her body.
MLSM Fire, what is the address of the emergency?
21034 Jarvis.
All right, repeat the address one more time for me.
21034. Police and bottom picked up.
Okay, you said 21034 Jarvis?
27034.
Okay, and repeat that one more time.
27034. 334. Jarvis.
Road? Okay, and is that a house or an apartment, sir?
The house.
What's the phone number you're calling from? Tell me exactly what happened.
My friend, Teresa Sievers, she's a doctor. I'm a doctor. She came home last night. Her husband is in Connecticut, and she was supposed to go to work at 9 o'clock. She called me, and I was on my way into work, so I swung by, and she's dead on the floor. And there's a hammer at the side, and she's bashed in the back of the head.
Okay, all right. Stay on the line with me, sir, okay?
Yes.
Stay on the line with me. Sheriff's office, are you on the way? Yes, we are. Okay. All right, and so you said you're a doctor?
Yes, I am.
Okay, are you with her now?
I'm outside of the house because I don't know if there's anybody in the house.
Okay. All right, so how old is Teresa?
She's 50s, 47-ish.
All right, sir, and is she awake?
No, she's down on the floor. She's cold.
And
The back of her head is bashed in, and there's blood everywhere.
Okay. All right. So I do have paramedics, fire department, also law enforcement is on the line with us. Okay, they're going to be going out. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So I want you to stay on the line one moment. And sure.
Yeah, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here till I get here because I don't know if anybody's still in the house.
Okay. All right.
Was right.
All right. Just stay on the line. Okay. The sheriff's office has questions, and they're going to counsel you on what to do next.
Okay. Sir, are you inside the residence then?
No, I'm not. I'm standing in the driveway.
Okay. And then when you walked inside the house, you said the blood was dry, or what did you say?
Yeah, half the blood is dry, half is wet. And she's cold. She's dead cold.
Okay, and there's the hammer sitting next to her, and you had left it, and did you touch anything?
No, I did not touch anything. I touched her. I shook her a little bit.
Okay.
She's dead cold.
All right, one moment. You're doing really well. So the last time you had seen her is what time?
Probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay, and you said she returned today?
I don't know when she came back, but she was supposed to go back. She was supposed to go to work today at 9 o'clock, and her husband called me from Connecticut to say she didn't show up at work, and she's not answering her phone. And he checked her. He tried calling. He was going to call her mom, and he said, if you're swinging by, can you swing by? And I knocked on the front door, and nobody answered. The lights were on. I could see her purses on the countertop, and she didn't answer. I pounded, and he gave me the key code to get into the garage door. I opened the garage door, and the door leading to it was open. One of the dogs ran out. I don't know if he left or not. And I walked in. I just opened up the door. I walked in the door, and she was dead on the floor. And there's a big bash in the back of her head.
Okay, is the vehicle at her house or no?
The vehicle is at her house, yes, in the garage. The garage door was closed.
Okay, when you left, did you left the same way you entered, or did you leave the front door?
No. I touched her, and I just freaked out, and I walked outside.
Okay, when you walked outside, did you walk out the front door, or did you walk back out the garage door?
Back out the garage door, and I closed the door because the dogs were in there. So I did touch the handle.
That's all right. You just went through the... I'm sorry, just a moment.
Yes.
So you went... I'm sorry, you just went through the front door or the garage door? I'm very sorry. Would you say...
I went through the garage.
Okay, that's fine. And you you exited the same door. That's fine.
Yes.
And... All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were there because they asked you to take care of the house. Is that correct?
Mark, her husband, called me to say, please, can you check on her because it's not like her not to show up to work and be late.
Okay, so, and I know you told me before, but when, after he called to check on his wife because she wasn't at work.
Correct.
All right, and
I only talked to him once.
Okay.
And he gave me the code number. He sounded a little, whatever.
And he received a call from work saying she wasn't there?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, he's her office manager.
Oh, she's the office manager of his business?
No, he's the office manager of her medical practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where is he right now?
I believe he's in Connecticut. That's what he told me.
Okay. And you didn't see anything else, I mean, other than...
No, I didn't go in the house. I'm afraid somebody's in the house. I mean, somebody killed her.
Right.
I mean, it's a murder. Right? She's bashed in the back of the head.
Okay.
You know, I can't see her falling or anything like that. I just looked and I thought, my God, you know, she's my friend.
Right, exactly. You're doing you're doing a fantastic job. You did a great job. The deputies are en route, and so is the ambulance.
Yeah.
And you're doing a fantastic job. I'm sure they're going to have a little bit further, more questions and everything for you. You're doing great, okay?
Okay.
I did let them know that you're outside.
The fire guys are here.
Okay, great.
And, let's go. Yeah, she's dead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and hang up with me.
Don't hang up?
No, go ahead and hang up with me, okay?
Okay. Goodbye.
All right, bye.
Investigators were stumped. The house hadn't been ransacked, and a safe with more than $40,000 cash in it had gone untouched, suggesting that the robbery hadn't been the driving motive behind the bloodshed. An online conspiracy theorist noted that 2 other Florida-based holistic doctors had also been murdered that month, leading to the local media speculation about the possibility of a holistic medicine serial killer. A week later, Mark, who appeared distraught over the death of his wife, stood up at his wife's funeral where he said, "I was and still am the luckiest man in the world."
I had a picture, which
Just breathe. Go slow breathing. That way you get oxygen and it makes you feel better. And through the nose.
Hyperventilating. Thank you.
There you go. See?
Okay.
You're good. Take your time.
Can we get some photos from you guys? The last photo I took was her saying goodbye to our girls. Her hair was over her face. We couldn't see her face. Is there an opportunity that all this is done to get some photos from the airport?
Oh, of how she appeared?
Yeah. You didn't feel anything? How could you have been hit? Did you surprise somebody coming in the house? I love you. 64 years to go, baby. 64 years ago. Oh, my angel. Who has a key to the house? Their mom? Oh my God. What could I have done? If I was with you, this wouldn't have happened. If I came back, this wouldn't have happened. I should have come back with you that night. I'm sorry I didn't come back with you. No, there was a magazine in it because I was actively carrying. Oh my gosh. Your gun was loaded, Calm down. I do this. And I love you. You're here. It would be so much easier for you to do this than me, honey. You have such a message to spread. She had so much to offer the world. Mm-hmm. She was really, everyone says this about their wife, their kids are special. My kids are phenomenal. Sure. I should have been home.
Well,
she really is on track to change the world. She has her own TV show. She's going to take healthcare to a whole other level. My daughter said, Daddy, she shouldn't have to go through life without mommy. But
right?
She's consoling me.
None of it's. Kids are amazing like that. Kids are amazing like that. I have an 8. I have a 14-year-old, so they're amazing. They're gonna help you out a lot, and you're gonna be good for them too.
Sorry. No. I know you don't care now. Keep her baby safe and put this bastard in jail. Oh, God. You're so quickly. It's
No leads came in the case for nearly 2 months. In August 2015, detectives called a break. Law enforcement in Illinois called the lead detective on the case with the news that someone had came forward with information potentially related to the murder. The detectives traveled to Illinois to conduct an in-person interview of the informant. And from that interview, Curtis Wright emerged as a suspect. Eventually, police obtained a warrant to search Wright's house in Missouri. There, they seized his cell phone and the GPS used on the trip to Florida, which in turn linked Curtis to Rodgers. While detectives executed a search warrant at Rodgers' residence in Missouri, his girlfriend, Taylor Shoemaker, led authorities to evidence connecting him to the crime, including the backpack, shoes, shirts, and beverage cooler that had been purchased at a Lee County Walmart on the day of the murder. Shoemaker also brought the detectives to the site where she and Roger had discarded the coveralls worn during the murder and pieces of Roger's deconstructed prepaid cell phone. Curtis and Jimmy were then arrested, interrogated, and charged. Months after the arrest, the court released the documents that claimed that Mark Sievers hired both suspects to slay his wife, Teresa. Suspicion had been on Mark from early on. While Mark had initially been cooperative and handed over his cell phone to investigators, he later refused to cooperate. Hours after Teresa's funeral, investigators had watched him throw computer equipment into a dumpster behind the couple's medical office. Detectives were not surprised when evidence began mounting against Mark. February 26, 2016, Mark was arrested and charged with first-degree murder after connection was found between him and Curtis Wright. Trial started for Mark in November 2019. At the trial, the state proved its case through Curtis's testimony. The state corroborated Curtis's account with cell phone, GPS, and video surveillance records that documented both Mark's planning and Curtis's locations in the weeks before and immediately after the murder. The state presented the backpack, shoes, shirts, and beverage cooler that were purchased in Lee County on the day of the murder and later found in Jimmy's Missouri home. According to defense counsel, the state had done nothing more than prove that Wright and Rodgers, not Sievers, murdered Dr. Sievers. The defense focused on Curtis's lack of credibility, highlighting his bipolar disorder, his status as a 5-time felon, and his admitted lies during the investigation. But prosecutors presented other evidence at the Sievers trial. Cell phone data indicated that Mark and Curtis had communicated via burner phones in the weeks leading up to Teresa's death, and Curtis's phone had pinged near the Sievers home on the morning of Dr. Sievers' murder. The state also introduced fibers from Jimmy's discarded coveralls worn during the murder that were found on Dr. Sievers' corpse and in the rental car. Dr. Thomas Coyne, the Lee County medical examiner, testified about the autopsy he performed on Dr. Sievers. He determined that she died from blunt head trauma from multiple impact wounds to the back of the skull that were consistent in size with the head of a hammer. May 11, 2016, Teresa's mother gained custody of the Sievers children as the case prepared to move toward trial. December 4, 2019, after just 4 hours of deliberation, they convicted Mark of first-degree premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The following week, Mark returned for the penalty phase. The state sought to prove 2 aggravators: murder committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner with no pretense of moral or legal justification, and murder committed for financial gain. The jury unanimously found the CCP aggravator, but not the money gain aggravator. At his sentence hearing, Mark read from a prepared statement in which he maintained his innocence and emotionally pleaded for his life along similar lines. He stated, "Our girls had tragically lost their mommy, and now they're about to lose their daddy as well. Therefore, I respectfully ask the court for life, as not to compound their loss and suffering." Judge Cowell was unmoved and sentenced him to death on January 3, 2020. "I judge people's actions. I don't judge people's souls," Cowell said. "And if I'm wrong, hopefully God will have mercy on both of us." Mark Sievers is currently on death row at Union Correctional Institution in Rayford, Florida. Wright and co-defendant Jimmy Ray Rodgers had separate trials. On December 12, 2019, Rodgers was sentenced to life in prison, and on February 10, 2020, Curtis Wright was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Isn't it weird how much Curtis and Mark looked alike? Now, Curtis only received 25 years because he testified against Mark at his trial, and he also testified against Jimmy at his trial. So this was the reason why he got less of the sentencing. Mark did appeal his case, and it has been denied. Alright guys, that is it for me. Do me a favor, like this video, comment your thoughts on what you think about this case, and if you have not already done so, please subscribe. Alright guys, until next time, take care of you.